Greetings everybody and welcome back. If you remember last time, we basically discussed your studio setup or your audio equipment, or different ways to get your recorded vocals into your computer. But in this episode, we're going deeper. That's right, it's the highly anticipated second episode of...
It's Making Tunes with Mr. Dooves, yeah!
Now, before we jump into the software and editing, I need you all to take a second, step back from the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and just listen. What do you hear? Well, it ain't silence, I'll tell you that much. Because in the average home, there is a veritable slew of buzzing, whirring, and clanking. Every implement, electronic, and appliance has its own operating sound. You get your microphone running and your headphones plugged in, and you can hear all of it. So before you record a single note, make your rounds and turn them off. Fridge, hot water heater, furnace, obviously not your computer, you need that. You'll slowly see your incoming audio noise diminish. Now after you've done that, take a look around. What do you see? Surfaces. Oh dear God. Smooth, glossy, painted surfaces. The arch nemesis to clean recorded vocals. Every flat, smooth surface in your home that faces another flat, smooth surface will work tirelessly to sabotage all your hard work. Standing frequencies will bounce back and forth effortlessly, reflecting on all your surfaces, creating a very unappealing echo in your recordings. You want dry, flat sound. So, what do? Hang things. Carpeting, thick textured blankets, sleeping bags, egg cartons. Or if you're cool spending a little money, here's what I do. Acoustic foam, fiberglass, and diffusion. This is Owens Corning 703 acoustic fiberglass, and it's insatiable. It eats ambient sound for breakfast, and I love it. Let's recap. Step 1. Find the quietest corner of your house away from people and things. Step 2. Turn off your buzzing implements, furnace, fridge, hot water heater, anything that registers to the microphone. Step 3. Surround yourself with soft, absorbent material. Make a fort. It's fun. After these 3 steps, you'll be in a much better place to finally record something. Now I need to apologize because I can't go through the basic functionality of audio software with you. This will not be a tutorial on digital audio workstations. Every piece of software is a little bit different, and this video's focus is on the construction of Multi-Track A Capella. I'll be using Cubase, which I find to be incredibly flexible and powerful, while still functioning very smoothly, but any software will do the trick. If you're a PC user, Audacity is competent and free. If you're on Mac, GarageBand is totally capable and free. Otherwise, look around, do some research, and don't be afraid to spend a bit of money on a higher reviewed DAW. It can definitely be worth it. Now, if you've never opened a program before, you'll need to utilize some basic tutorials around YouTube for specific software. After all, it's YouTube and it's completely saturated with people telling you how to do things. Once you get a decent grip on your program, then that's where I pick things up. Super fast explanation of what you're seeing. This is your timeline, and these are your tracks or layers. The entire foundation of multi-track recording is the understanding that each of these tracks will contain one of your recorded vocal parts. Note how they all stack one atop the other like this. Well, that's exactly how the recorded sound will act as well. When you hit play, they'll all play together at the same time, hopefully in a musical or meaningful way. I have pre-made templates that I use for each new project, which saves a ton of time. Bam! Right there you can see. This track is for kick drum, this one's for snare, hi-hat, crash, bass, backgrounds, leads, harmonies, etc. But right here up at the top is where I nest my original. So, let's find a song to do, shall we? Pull up a short list, babble back and forth with f1shard, choose a track, go to YouTube, find a high-quality original, copy the URL, go to YouTube to mp3.com, paste the URL, download the track, pop it in a folder for easy access, import the original into your project, and slap it into the first track at the beginning of your timeline. So now what? Just start recording, right? Not so fast. We're not quite there yet. This step gets a little bit technical, so if you've never tinkered with it, it may take some time. You have to fit this original track to a click track. A click track is indicative of the beats per minute in your project. It keeps your song aligned to a grid within your timeline. Using your grid and your click track is so damn important. I cannot stress enough. Make this a part of your routine and save yourself the heartache later. Here's a brief explanation. Look at the waveform here. You see these peaks? especially the ones that seem to repeat rhythmically. These are called transients, and they're most likely a snare drum or a kick drum within your original song. Now have a good listen and find a really good point at the beginning of a musical bar in your song that the rhythm structure starts, and snip right before that first transient. Make sure your snap to grid is turned on so that when you adjust your tempo, or your beats per minute, it stays nice and snug at that start point. Now you'll notice that when you alter your tempo, the grid moves in contrast to your original song. So you can just slide the tempo until the grid lines align with your transients. Getting this perfect will take some trial and error, and I often will reference to the end of the song to see how close it stays throughout. There are many songs that require a fair amount of fine-tuning. Once you play through your whole song and have those clicks fall precisely with the beat structure, then you're good to do a nice save. By the way, you'll want to get used to that. Make this little habit a huge part of your process. When you're dealing with raw audio, there's a lot of processing, and even the best programs will crash frequently. And if you haven't been saving often, you'll lose all your work. So just Control S, like every 5 minutes, or the next tutorial on YouTube you'll be searching is tying a noose. Now we're just going to listen to the original, and we're going to try to pick out the parts so as to arrange our song. I do everything by ear, so if you're a highly technical or fundamental musician and you use sheet music, this is where we may differ in our approach. I usually start with bass and percussion, or what's called the rhythm section. These parts of the song are the roots, or the framework. They're the perfect starting point for building a song. So I just pop on my mic and I start recording an early iteration of the parts. Don't worry about it being perfectly sung or high quality, just accurate. This is just a frame of reference as you go to help you arrange the music and make sure everything fits together properly. You'll record a final version at the end. I realize that the sounds you are personally able to make may be different than my own. Beatboxing, instrumentation, and singing in general works different for everybody based on their own voice and its flexibility and limitations. See what you can do that sounds the most like an instrument and just practice over and over. Find what works for you and just keep practicing. Some of the biggest channels on YouTube have gotten away with just saying ba 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 or da 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 for every note. There's no wrong way to do a cappella. At this stage, if you were to mute your original track, you should be able to actually hear your own version of the song, though it might be a bit rough at this stage. Alright, now you're ready to film. So put on a silly costume, hook up a nice webcam or external camera. Now have a good listen to each part over and over until you can sing it all the way through with ease. The big benefit of having your previous recordings on screen is that they offer a visual cue to remind you what's coming up. You also have the option at this stage just to perfect your audio and then sing along with it for your video component. Most professional channels lip sync for their video. This just allows them to perfect each component separately by narrowing down the variables. There is no wrong way to create entertainment, and as long as all the sounds were made by your voice, it's still a cappella and you're not cheating. Try to be very organized about the take that you're using or keeping. Label each file so you don't get them mixed up with other takes. This has happened to me before. Place all the final video files aside for now, and let's clean up our audio. You see all this space between your recorded vocals? It's supposed to be silence, but there's no such thing as perfect silence. Nothing good happens in these spaces, and I would really recommend getting rid of it. It can be very time-consuming, but cutting out and deleting all of the silence, breathing, and other crap between important audio will hugely increase the clarity of your final product. Just remember to create some smooth fades in and out so there aren't audible pops in the transition. Now after all that work, you should be very close to having a complete song. Now if you're a huge proponent of live, natural, acoustic a cappella, then my next video will be less important to you, though I still suggest watching it. In the next installment, we'll be discussing all of the final tweaks, effects, EQ, compression, quantization, and other big fancy audio words. Important steps that I take to making a full and clean cover that most closely resembles the original song
for maximum nostalgia effect.
So tune in again as we tackle our final mix on the next episode of
It's Making Tunes with Mr. Dooves, yeah.